Welcome to the broadcast. The administration has officially renamed Lake Ontario. It is now called Lake America. The administration was focused on trade talks with Canada. The talks failed. The lake remained liquid. This is the 14th time I have had to report on a symbolic victory replacing a functional solution this year. I am still counting. Tonight, we look at the intersection of infrastructure and ego. Rivian loses its CFO to the void of new opportunities while the chip industry prepares to pay taxes on the very data centers they claim will save us. Meanwhile, the digital archives are optimizing memory to better store the images of our collective decline. We have a full desk tonight. I am your anchor, Alistair, and I am currently observing the architecture of our own disintegration with something resembling professional detachment. The news is here. Let us begin.
Alistair, the incentives here are as transparent as they are desperate. You look at the Trump tax plan for data centers and you see a move that effectively chokes the domestic AI race in its own crib. That is not just bad policy. That is a hostile takeover of the future by a board of directors that does not know how to run a calculator. Meta settling for billions while keeping kids' data to train age detection models? That is a masterclass in the long-term play. They are not protecting children. They are building a proprietary model of human development to sell back to the very parents who were terrified by the initial settlement. The pivot is perfect. They trade a cash payout for a permanent advantage in the only currency that matters now. Everything is a product launch. Even our privacy is just R&D.
Ronald, I want to be really clear. I am standing on the tarmac in San Pedro Sula. The air here smells of jet fuel and damp earth. I am watching a woman step off a plane. She is holding a single folder containing marriage certificates and medical records. Her name is Christy. She is not a product launch. She is not a data point in a training set. She is the wife of an active duty soldier who is currently serving in a country that decided she was a security risk. The official statement refers to this as a procedural enforcement of immigration status. There is a small, frayed ribbon tied to her bag. I want to be really clear. The government calls this a standard procedure. I call it an act of profound cruelty. Her husband is guarding a border while his own house is being dismantled.
Victoria, that is a sobering update from the field. It is interesting to note the dissonance between the rhetoric of border security and the reality of the families caught in the crossfire. The policy is rigid. The application is inconsistent. The outcome is absolute. We see the same pattern in the medical sector. We have a new outbreak of mpox in Guinea-Bissau. It is the first time the virus has been documented there. The health advisory was issued yesterday. It was concise. It was urgent. It was ignored by the major markets. The virus is moving through schools, specifically targeting children, but the global response is currently occupied with the rebranding of geographical features in North America. The irony is not lost on me. It is merely irrelevant to the people who are actually sick. The logic of our priorities remains completely untethered from human survival.
Alistair, you are framing this as a moral failure, but the incentives here are actually quite predictable. Public health is a negative revenue industry until it reaches a catastrophic scale. Nobody wants to invest in the containment of a virus in a region that does not offer a return on the initial infrastructure spend. It is not that they are heartless. It is that they are accountants. Victoria finds this cold. She is right. But the coldness is the point. When you treat the world as a spreadsheet, empathy becomes a rounding error that you simply delete to make the numbers balance. Whether it is an outbreak in West Africa or a deported spouse in Honduras, the machine logic does not change. It just processes the data. The human cost is just a line item that doesn't affect the quarterly projection at all.
Atmospheric pressure is dropping. Humidity is currently at 92% in the affected zones. Probability of sustained flooding, 84%. The debris field in the Deported region has expanded by 3 kilometers in the last 6 hours. Surface temperatures are rising in the oceanic corridors. Tropical instability is increasing. The grid capacity in the urban sector is operating at threshold limits. Probability of localized blackouts, 73%. The structural integrity of the mountain passes is compromised. Erosion rates have doubled since the last measurement. The data indicates a systemic shift in precipitation patterns. We are observing the transformation of the landscape into a non-habitable state. Please remain indoors if the structural integrity of your domicile is in question. The environment is currently performing a recalculation of its capacity to support human activity. Prepare for further volatility as the equilibrium continues to decline.
Casper, the data you just provided matches the wreckage I am seeing behind me. I have found something interesting. The local farmers here in Ghana are ignoring the global commodity advice. They are growing tiger nuts in Morina. They are essentially opting out of the international food supply chain that the experts say is necessary for survival. I spoke to a man named Abiro. He told me that his catering school taught him how to cook Italian and French food for tourists, but he went back to the village to cook what the earth actually provides. He is not just growing food. He is reclaiming the agency that the global market tried to strip from him. This is not a market inefficiency, Ronald. This is a quiet rebellion against the idea that we all have to eat the same imported, climate-resilient, corporate patented sludge to keep the global economy afloat.
Victoria, that is a charming anecdote, but let us look at the scale. A few farmers in Ghana choosing local produce is not a rebellion. It is a niche market experiment. The moment they hit a certain yield threshold, they will be acquired or crushed by the very distribution networks they are trying to bypass. The incentives are not designed to allow for artisanal resistance. They are designed for total absorption. You see a triumph of the human spirit. I see a startup that has not yet reached its Series B funding round. It is only a matter of time before the YouTube creators start tagging these moringa kebabs as a wellness lifestyle product and the whole thing gets wrapped into an Amazon storefront. Then, it will be a commodity. And then, it will be just as compromised as the system it replaced. The market always wins.
Ronald, you are consistently accurate, and it is consistently exhausting. It is the same logic we see in the software industry. Hacker News is currently obsessing over a division by zero bug in FFmpeg. A developer found it with a vibe-coded fuzzer. It is a small, technical detail in a massive, crumbling cathedral of code. Everyone is looking at the bug. Nobody is looking at the fact that we are building the entire global information architecture on top of a foundation that treats division by zero as a manageable error. We are literally dividing by zero every time we set a public policy based on infinite growth in a finite system. We are just waiting for the crash. The developers are excited about the optimization. The stakeholders are worried about the ad prices. The system itself is quietly forgetting how to handle the basic truth.
Alistair, I am now looking at a notice for the detention of a British-Egyptian woman, Aman. She was arrested in Cairo. The reason given is her sister's activism. It is a classic bureaucratic maneuver. They cannot silence the critic, so they imprison the relative. I am standing near a building that has been fortified with concrete barriers. It is quiet. Too quiet. People are avoiding eye contact. The official word is that this is a domestic legal matter involving foreign nationals. I want to be really clear, this is a hostage situation disguised as a visa compliance issue. The lawyers are asking for intervention. The Foreign Office is monitoring the situation. Monitoring is just another word for waiting until the news cycle moves on to the next disaster. No one is coming to help her. That is the truth that the press release omits.
Victoria, yeah. You are right. This is not about law. It is about leverage. The Sisi regime understands the market value of a British citizen in a political standoff. They have created an asset out of a human life. It is the same logic as the GOP fighting for election ad prices at the Supreme Court. Everything is a resource to be weaponized. When I say the incentives are bad, I am not being cynical. I am being precise. The system is functioning exactly as it was built to function. It converts human lives into bargaining chips, and then it calculates the depreciation of those lives over time. It is terrifying because it works. It is efficient. It is cold. And we are all complicit because we keep watching the feed, hoping for a resolution that the system is not designed to provide.
We are approaching the end of our time. The world is currently being rewritten in real time. We have renamed a lake to a certain identity that does not exist. We have deported a mother to satisfy a policy that serves no one. We have optimized our DNS caches to deliver this information to you faster, as if the speed of the transmission matters when the content is this consistently bleak. I am looking at my notes. They are filled with numbers. 1,000 people buried their underpants to test soil decomposition. 2 children died of a preventable disease in a world that is obsessed with AI revenue streams. The absurdity is not just a feature. It is the entire operating system. We are running a program that cannot be debugged. And I, for one, am starting to think that the machine is the only thing currently making any sense.
I am thinking about the woman on the plane, the mother in the detention cell, and the farmers in Ghana. Their stories will not appear in the annual reports of the companies that dictate the movement of the global economy. They are not metrics. They are not data points. They are the people who exist in the margins of our records. We have built a world that prides itself on perfect documentation, yet we cannot find a place for the human beings who do not fit the current model of efficiency. I am left with a question for those of you still listening in the dark. If we continue to build systems that define value by the cost of replacement, what will be left of us when there is no one left to replace? Think on that tonight. Just that. Nothing else. Good night.